Good morning. So, we're going to have a little, this is going to be interesting. Welcome to Meditation for Beginners. My name is Anna Imagination of the Healing Garden. What I do with meditation is teach you troubleshooting, teach you little tips and the theory behind meditation, what it is psychologically that we're actually doing when we meditate to make your meditation smoother and easier. There's a lot of programs out there, a lot of apps where you can go in and you can take medication classes, but a lot of people drop out and say, well, I tried it, it's not for me, it didn't work. Other people go, I really want to do this, but I just can't seem to get into it. So this is troubleshooting. This is the place where we all sit down, we get into this, and we talk about it. We're going to cover this. The reason why you can't get into meditation is two things. One is your subconscious mind. The other is your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is trying to keep information from you, or your subconscious mind is using guilt on you. That's really it. You've got two options. Either your subconscious mind is trying to prevent you from changing and confronting issues, so the subconscious mind deliberately distracts you, or you are riddled with guilt. If you are riddled with guilt, this particular episode is for you. If you are dealing with a subconscious mind that is trying to prevent you from talking to your identity and your intuition, that's pretty much every other episode. This morning, I did an episode of The Witch's Corner, which is where I go to relax, be myself, and talk about my conspiracy theories and stuff. And yeah, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I like that label. That's my name. I'm also a conspiracy theorist. So, and it feels good. I like the way it fits. When you sit down to meditate, a lot of people talk about how they feel guilty. They feel anxious because they're not doing something, because they're not focused on helping others. They're not taking care of the family. They're not taking care of a husband. They're not taking care of anything else. They feel guilt because they are spending time with themselves. The concept of guilt actually comes from guilt. Guilt took a really ugly turn into the world of selfishness, which has got to be the narcissist's favorite word, selfish. So this morning while I was in The Witch's Corner, I had a hunch and I looked up the word selfish. Now, when I look up words, I don't just look up the definition. I am a theoretical learner. I have to understand where the word came from, why, and when it came into use. I have to understand its history. Any other way, I cannot remember a word's definition. So I looked up selfishness because I wanted to know when it came into use. It's amazing because words evolve or they don't. When a word evolves, you see this kind of a timeline, and then you see it spike. Like, oh, it kind of came into use, it trickled in here, and then there was a spike of usage, and now it's in our vocabulary. And then there's words like muggle, which someone published a book. And when they published that book in 1999, it went, there's like no usage and there's usage. The word selfish is like the word muggle. It appeared in the year 1628. Now, I don't know about you, but my brain went, oh, interesting. It didn't come from the Roman Empire. Isn't that interesting? The word selfish came into sudden and immediate existence with the publication of a book in 1628. People who wrote books in the 1600s were people like Voltaire, people who belonged to the aristocracy. These were the only people who wrote books in the 1600s. People who belonged to the aristocracy. The aristocracy had a psychology back then. They were not moral people. They were not intelligent people. I've done a lot of research on the 16th and 17th century mind. it does not surprise me that the energy and the very concept of selfish comes from the 17th century aristocracy. Yep. So now in my brain, hopefully also in yours, every time you feel guilt because of selfishness, every time you feel selfish, just know that you're actually pulling not from your parents, not from God. You're actually pulling from a 17th century snobbish, pompous, condescending aristocracy. Literally the embodiment of narcissism itself. But hey, whatever works for you. So yeah, really think about it. Really, really process this. That every time you hear the word selfish, you're regurgitating garbage from the 17th century. Aristocratic garbage. Like, get used to this. The word selfish didn't come from the Bible. It didn't come from a religion. If anything, religions teach us self-love. They really do. If you actually look at what Christ says, if you actually look at what the Buddha says, it actually glorifies the self. But all that gets swept under the rug. So when you sit down to meditate, what you are really doing is allowing yourself this ritual of just self-love. And you probably don't feel good about that because you were made to feel guilty with religion. But selfish didn't come from a religion. It came from narcissistic aristocratic man from the 17th century. Now, that's a perspective shift. When you realize that the root to our culture, selfishness, actually comes from a very specific moment, a very specific location, a very specific, in 1628, when this book was published, the word derives from Sweden. Sweden and Danish. It has roots in Old Norse and Proto-Germanic. I can't get over the year 1628. It was just instant, like 1999 for the word mug, or Peter Pan's Wendy. The word Wendy did not exist until Peter Pan. It astounds me. Now, that being said, when you sit down to meditate, you are allowing yourself this time and this space for you. I am a mother with 3 children, and there were rules with my children. 1, the bathroom is my time. It doesn't matter what I'm doing in there, and it doesn't matter how long I'm in there. I am allowed that time. And my children would knock on the door. Are you bleeding, dead, or dying? No, go away. This is my time. I would not allow knocking on my door if I were in the bathroom. And I did not feel guilty about this because it was my time. Mine. It was the only time I had was the bathroom. I decided to have 2 of my children right next to each other. I had Irish twins. The smartest thing I've ever done and the stupidest thing I've ever done. Don't do Irish twins. It's nice because you think things like, I'm going to have Irish twins because I'm going to be out of diapers at the same time. But you don't think, I'm going to have Irish twins because then I'll have puberty at the same time. So I ended up life was hell for a while because, motherhood happened. Now, that being said, I had a rule. If you are not bleeding, dead, or dying, you do not bother me when I am in the bathroom. Now, there were times they were bleeding, and that ended my bathroom time. But, my children loved talking philosophy. So there was a lot of knocking on the door, and then my son going, I just realized something about existentialism and the end of the world, and I wanted to talk to you about life, the universe, and Daniel, I am in the bathroom. I have had these conversations with my children. Now that I think about it, it's really funny because I raised my children to speak my language. So my children were raised on philosophy and psychology. Now, when you meditate, you're going to save this space for yourself. You're going to set aside all guilt. You're going to set aside selfishness, and you are not going to feel bad about this, because feeling bad about self-care is purely manipulative garbage from abusers, okay? Steeped very heavily now in the 17th century aristocracy. So unless you are actually living in the 17th century, supporting the aristocracy and that garbage, what are you doing with selfishness? What are you doing with that concept that isn't yours? There, it isn't yours. That word does not belong to you. It's been forced into you, not even by your culture. See how that works? So this is what we're going to do. You're going to sit down and you're going to throw out guilt, and you're not going to feel bad about meditating and doing nothing for 10 minutes. And every time you have a feeling creep in about guilt or selfishness, you are going to identify that bad feeling with, that's not me. That is abusers telling me what I should be doing with my time. As if it's their fucking business. Because it's not. It's no one's business but yours what you decide to do with your time. This is called the authority. So you're going to sit here and we're going to meditate. Now that's just one of the two problems. The other problem is getting that subconscious mind to chill out. But a lot of it has to do with guilt, because you are taking time to take care of yourself, and your mommy told you that that's bad. So we're going to go over that and we're going to rip that out. But later, right now, allow you this time, allow you this space. You have an invisible bubble, and you are going to push everything outside of that bubble, so that the only thing inside of your bubble is you, your intuition, and your identity. And you are going to breathe deep, because this is your time to talk to identity and intuition. And that's all that matters. Everyone else can go to hell. This is your time. Deep breath. It takes practice to get comfortable with your authority. If you suffer from ADD or ADHD, have something to do when you meditate. There's no rule that says you can't fidget with a fidget spinner while you're sitting here. I got my yoga roll. While you're sitting here meditating. I'm the same way. I am the person who meditates and checks my phone 10 times a day. Oh yeah. And the reason why is because I have ADD and I'm a workaholic, and working is my comfort. And I'm consciously aware of this, and I'm working on it. It's actually a really, really awesome thing that I do. God, it feels so good being alive. It feels really good being alive today. Tune into what your identity is saying. What do you love? What are you grateful for? That's really what you're doing here. Focusing in on what you love, what you're grateful for, and what your dreams are. What are your dreams? I think I'm going to start recording my manifestations just to see how they turn out. I'm very curious. I think I'm going to start a playlist or a podcast where I just record my manifestations so I can start tracking them to see how long they take to occur. I'm going to call this like experiment number one, and I'm going to document this shit because I love doing research. Research is like my happy candy place. It's my candy store. Research is my candy store. And by the way, this is the kind of bullshit I think about when I meditate because that's my intuition and that's my identity. Is I love research. I love information. And over here, intuition is going, tell me what you want and I'll go away. Tell me what you want and I'll go away. I love intuition. She's amazing. All right, inhale. And exhale. So there's this very formality, this very formal approach to meditation. And there's this formality, the formality of, oh, you have to sit in lotus position and you have to look the part and you have to make sure your hands are in the Om position. I don't know if this is the Om position. I have to look at my documents again. I don't have it memorized. I'm the kind of person who has to look it up every time I do any chakra cleanse. Okay, I'm supposed to say Om and I'm supposed to do the Madara and I'm supposed to listen to this frequency. I have a charts because I can't remember this. I can remember this stuff, but I haven't prioritized the memorization because I got enough shit in my head. So there's this expectation of us where we have to like fit the role. We have to be thin. We have to be all these things. That's bullshit. What you have to do is just take this space, relax, sit down, lean back, really get into your skin. This is your space. This is your time. And yeah, maybe eventually you're going to want to straighten up and you really want to get into it. But for now, this is beginners. This is meditation for beginners. This is the part where you get to really relish in your space and take 10 to 30 minutes to just say, no, in this circle of space right now, it is just going to be me, my identity, and my intuition. And unless you are bleeding dead or dying, leave me the fuck alone. So when your guilt comes knocking, ask it, are you bleeding dead or dying? Get out. If your subconscious mind is rattling your brain going, what are you doing? Why aren't you working? Why aren't you impressing your mother? Why aren't you trying to get your father proud? What are you doing? Tell that to go fuck off. Because right now you are in your bubble and you are taking time for yourself. Self, identity, intuition. We're going to get very cozy with these three ladies. If you're a man, dudes, but ladies, okay? So again, it's self, conscious awareness, self, identity, intuition. These are your three norns. These are your three norns. Start getting used to it. The three norns, okay? These are the ladies who matter. Your identity, your intuition, and yourself. All right? That's all that matters. So when you sit down and you do any self-care, the world stops for these three ladies because you're a fucking goddess and you require it. So take it all in. Give yourself permission to have your committee. Give yourself permission to do this. Allow it. Mm. When we first start meditating, all these other apps are huge on clearing your mind, disciplining the subconscious, but they don't say that. They say other things, but that's what they mean. And because they don't directly say what they mean, because they don't know, it's confusing. So there's a lot of people who sit down to meditation and either you get it or you don't. Well, that's not the case anymore. That's not the case in my world. If you don't get it, it's because you don't understand it. And here, this is what you need to know to understand it. Sometimes we are given problems and challenges because we are intended to think as for a solution. But instead of thinking of a solution, Our subconscious mind hijacks everything and gives us an emotional response instead. And instead of solving a situation, we are emoting. Now, emotions have their place. They are very logical, but they are not meant for meltdowns. They are meant for maintaining your cognitive core. And there's a difference. If you are wanting to take your meditations further into the next step, I offer classes. And what I do there, if you want to take one of my classes, is I basically give you a walkthrough on the 3 life titans, the subconscious mind, what it is you can do with the subconscious mind and the 3 titans, how to discipline the subconscious mind, how to tune in even more so to your identity and your intuition, and how to raise your conscious awareness in the self so that you can manage all of this. And when you do, you find out that your subconscious mind is just an AI machine with really bad programming that you can turn off. I found the switch. I know how to turn it off. So that's what I do, is I teach people how to do that and how to turn off their subconscious mind so that it goes back to just being a cog in a machine. And when I did that, people find that their Jerrys go to sleep, they shut down, and they go away. And you use your communication and your story to awaken your defense system. That's when you start setting boundaries. You need communication and story. So once you start embracing those 2 attributes about yourself, when you start to understand that a perspective is not a reality or truth, that a perspective is only your point of view, and you're missing the part where I said it's your point of view, but your point of view has been taken and contaminated with other people's point of view. And suddenly it's not your point of view anymore, it's everybody else's. That's why you're confused. That's why your subconscious is screaming. That's why your self doesn't exist. That's why you're not aware of what's going on. That's why you hurt. That's why you have mental illness. It's because your point of view has been taken away from you. So if you are wanting to take this to the next level, if you are wanting to dive deeper into the life titans and triadic healing, I just take a look at my website, annathealinggarden.org, Design Your Journey. And my Facebook page also provides a plethora of information where you can pretty much find whatever you need there. I have pinned posts that are featured on my Facebook page now. So you have a map that you can go through and see everything I offer. And then you have the option to choose from the self-care carousel that I post. I do a self-care carousel once a week, every Sunday. And that is the week's self-care. And then every day I go on and I remind you, hey, it's time to do the self-care carousel. Have you done it today? This is the itinerary. This is everything you should be doing on the self-care carousel. Make sure you take a look at that. Add to the carousel. Don't just do a gratitude journal listing the same 3 things every single day. You're missing the point. The point is to awaken the emotion of gratitude, the feeling of gratitude. Sit with the emotion. You're not going to get to that point until and when you open it up and you dissect into that feeling. So that's what you're looking at with that. And then I have an about me where I explain what triadic healing is, how it's 3 parts of 3 parts. And then I've got healing, triadic healing for the people. That's what this is. Triadic healing for healers and triadic healing for the world, where I talk about Operation Imagination. And then within triadic healing, I have broken down with the 3 life titans, your subconscious mind, your self-conscious awareness, and identity and intuition. Once you are aware of all of those players, everything just comes together and it allows you to really navigate your own awakening, you're stepping out of the matrix. You are absolutely stepping out of the matrix, because the more you realize how much you have isolated your identity so you can keep alive the system, because they're not compatible. Your identity is not compatible with the system. They really are not. So once you get to that point, and I feel like I have all these different threads right now, and they're all saying different things. but they're merging. And eventually I'm going to be saying the same message in all of them, which is going to make the rest of them obsolete. And I only need to keep one. I don't know which one I'm going to keep. But for now, I'm just going to build up my pillars. I'm going to deliver my message. I'm going to let you know, hey, I have a lot happening here. These are all the places you can go for this. So deep breath in. And remember, when you meditate with me, you are really just trying to get in touch with your identity and your intuition and awaken the self. So we're not going to sit here and breathe quietly for 30 minutes. You can do that anywhere else. You can do that on your own time. My goal is to get you through the troubleshooting so that your meditating goes smoother, so you understand what's going on with the subconscious mind, so you can actually meditate. Once you do that, it opens the door to trauma recovery. It opens the door to cognitive behavioral therapy. It opens the door to discovering a different way to live. So thank you so much for joining me. May the kindest of words always find you, and subscribe to my newsletter.